podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Ashley Nelson and you're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
It's Olympic week. The sport begins on Wednesday and the Winter Games on Friday. I'm John.
And I'm excited. No, I'm Michael. And this is the first Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, talking about the Olympics and the Paralympic Games all the time, not just once every 4 years. Curling kicks off the Games this week. We will hear from the British pair aiming for a place on the podium.
It was just a mix of emotions. It was whirlwind.
Having this time, our family and friends able to come and watch, that's going to be pretty exciting for both of us.
Bruce Mouat and Jen Dodds. We hope to talk about them quite a lot over the next fortnight. If it's not them, who should carry the Union flag at the opening ceremony on Friday? We asked Team GB's chef de mission.
Hi, I'm Eve Muirhead. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
Are the venues in Milan and Cortina ready? Yes, says the organisers. And yes, says the IOC. We'll have the latest.
We'll also round up the rest of the news from the Games and away from the Winter Games, cycling and tennis. This is Anything But Footy, the first Milano Daily for the 2026 Winter Olympics. Download, listen and follow, and please pass us on to your friends, your fellow Olympic fans. Tell them all about it. We'll be here throughout the Games.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Becker.
I'm James Hernandez.
Team GB Figure Skaters.
You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from
Anything But Footy.
So coming up, we'll hear from Bruce Mouat and Jen Dodds, the Olympic silver and gold medalists from Beijing, of course, later as part of TNT, tomorrow's news today. But very first, for this Milano Daily first, Team GB will soon be announcing their male and female athletes to carry the flag at the opening ceremony of the Winter Games. It could be Bruce and Jen, as mentioned. Or it might not be, Michael, mightn't it? Because they're both in action. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I've actually spoken to them both about half an hour before we've recorded this. They were in Cortina. They're at the Team GB base there and just had a quick Zoom chat with the pair of them. I've asked them about it because they would definitely be contenders to carry the flag. Bruce, a silver medalist last time, Jen, a gold medalist last time, could be making history because they could win 2 medals each at these games, with no one from Team GB's ever won 3 Winter Olympic medals before. But they have a double header on Friday. They've got a match in the morning and then another one in the afternoon. And even the way the organisers are going to do the opening ceremonies with satellite events in Cortina. So it's not that they would have to travel into Milan. They've got another competition, another match in their competition early on Saturday morning. As Bruce has said to me this morning, and Jen, look, it's all about performance. We're here to curl. It's not just about that mixed doubles. They then have to go into their men's and women's competition, which don't end until the very end of the Games. So they've got a very busy, essentially 3 weeks. And I think that rules them out of the conversation over the flag bearers. Certainly that's what they've told me. Interestingly, if Eve Muirhead was to ring them up and say, can you do it? I think Eve knows, having been a competitor herself, that that's probably not a position she'd want to put them in. If they've ruled themselves out, then I can't see them doing the job.
So anyone else it could be, Michael, do you think?
Well, you've been speaking to someone that I definitely think would be a contender for carrying the flag. We'll hear from Andrew Musgrave later on. I think there's various things that Team GB look for in their flag bearers. And historically, it's been a reward for either long service at the Olympics or in more recent times, long service and achievement at the Olympics, because we have had, certainly in the Summer Games, a lot of multiple medalists, and therefore they stand out. Slightly different with the Winter Games because there isn't that medal haul to look back on. So maybe it is a reward for long service, or maybe we go different this time and we look at some of the future names. Maybe who are the people that over the next 2.5 weeks are going to inspire people? You think, for example, Lewis and Lila, they've captured the public's imagination. I know that the flag bearers can be in any of the centres. They don't have to be in Milan in the San Siro, but that pair are in Milan and the San Siro. Is it an opportunity to say, look, our flag bearers this time around are about what's about to happen in the future?
Because I remember in the Paris Olympics, for example, Team USA, Coco Gauff was the flag bearer with LeBron James. Now, obviously, LeBron is an Olympic champion, but Coco Gauff wasn't. But as you say, maybe someone who was new to that, and it would be incredibly impressive, wouldn't it, to see Lila and Lewis walk out in the San Siro Stadium ahead of, because I don't think they're in action for a few days until after the opening ceremony. So there is the potential there, as you rightly say, or maybe someone who's in action a bit later on in the Winter Olympics from a Team GB point of view. But you've been talking to Eve Muirhead, who carried the flag, of course, 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we can speculate as much as we like, but let's hear from the chef de mission who's been telling me all about how she will make her decision.
The flag bearer obviously is a big part of the Winter Olympic Games, and getting the opportunity to have one male and one female carrying the flag and leading the team is something really special. So the sports, they'll nominate who they want to put forward, and then it's the case of myself, and of course I'll take advice from others as well, and we kind of sit down and figure out who we think would best fit. It's always a case, it's not just a case of someone, they've won X amount of medals, they're successful, they're going to carry the flag. We need to take into account Team GB values, respect, unity, responsibility, etc., to make sure that they cover all bases, because you want someone who really kind of embeds themselves in the kind of Team GB ethos.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's the kind of criteria that you are looking through, and is that a fixed criteria you're working through, or is it more of a gut feeling?
Yeah, it's definitely not a fixed criteria. I would say a gut feeling as well, and I think you get a good idea of the kind of the athletes that really do, as I mentioned, embed themselves within Team GB, show a lot of respect, get involved. I think that's important as well, and yeah, just genuinely good people.
And will logistics play a bit of a part in it, just because, as we know, the footprint of these games is so large?
Of course, I think the logistics for everything at this Games is going to be such a challenge, but for the case of the flag bearers, no, it won't. That won't change at all who we select. There's the kind of openings main ceremony being in Milan, but there is going to be kind of activations within each cluster, and flag bearers can be in any cluster.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. I guess for the TV audience at home, that will work really neatly, won't it?
I honestly have no idea how TV are going to do it. For example, we could have one flag bearer in Milan and one in Cortina. So if you're the kind of TV production company, I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. But it's really nice that you can do that. I think that makes it really special for the athletes. The organising committee have said that there definitely is no cross-cluster travel for the ceremony. So you couldn't have, for example, any athletes in Cortina travel to Milan for the ceremony. So they have to stay within their cluster.
And will the likes of Bruce and Jen, even though they've actually started their competition, will they be able to be involved in the opening ceremony?
It's entirely up to the athletes whether they want to take part or not. It's solely down to their choice. We won't push either way, because I know what it's like you're in the midst of competing. The last thing you want to do is maybe spend more time on your feet. You obviously want to save energy. Do you want to expend all that energy going to a ceremony? It's up to the sport, and we've got you can rely on the sports and their kind of support staff and expertise to make that decision.
You and Dave Riding did it in Beijing. What did it mean to you to be selected to carry the flag at the opening ceremony?
Carrying the flag was really, really special. It was a moment that I'll never forget, walking out with the sign and the flag, and you're literally leading your nation onto the biggest sporting stage in the world. And yeah, it's memories I will never ever forget, and to do it alongside Dave as well. For Dave, who's going for his 5th Games in Milano Cortina, is really special. I've not managed to keep up with him. I only managed the 4 games. But yeah, to do it alongside Dave's a good friend as well. It was really special.
He must be a contender again in your thinking, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, you can't write off any of the athletes, can you? They're all contenders. As I say, the sports will nominate certain people, and we'll just have a look through and decide who's going to carry it.
Was there ever any doubt in your mind that you were going to do it, in terms of you were there to do your job, which you did, and you won that gold medal? In terms of that performance piece, were there ever any thoughts that it might detract from that?
I'm been very lucky. I've been to every opening ceremony, to every games I've been at, because we haven't actually started competing till a couple of days after. So no, it wasn't really. Of course, like our sports asked if we didn't want to go. There's no pushing us to going, but we decided it was going to be a good opportunity. It kind of kicks off your kind of experience, doesn't it? And yeah, the buzz becomes real. So yeah, I enjoyed every ceremony I've been to.
And you can, I guess, use that as a performance advantage, that thrill of walking into what will be a packed San Siro stadium this time. It might make you feel 10 feet taller.
Yeah. Well, that's it, exactly. I think it's got a lot of positives. It does, it kind of gets the kind of game started, doesn't it? And makes you feel proud to be wearing your colours, makes you proud to have the Team GB crest on your chest. So there's a lot of great positives, but again, you've just got to remember that the athletes are there to do a job, and that's to perform. And I know they'll make sure and take in everything that kind of the pros and the cons to going or not to go. But I'm sure we'll get a good showing.
So Eve Muirhead talking to Michael. We've heard Michael's tips on who it might be, and one of them was Andrew Musgrave. Why Andrew Musgrave?
Well, this will be 5 times at the Olympics, which I think in itself, especially in his discipline, is a massive achievement. Dave Riding, obviously, as you heard in that conversation, has to come into the conversation again, because again, he's a 5-time Olympian, and this will be his last Olympic Games as well. He obviously did do it in Beijing, but that's not to say that he can't do it twice. I think Steve Redgrave carried the flag at the Summer Games at 2 consecutive opening ceremonies. So, yeah, I think as Eve said there, they're looking for people that live the values of Team GB. I think that's first and foremost what they're looking for. So it's not necessarily about having got Olympic medals. And obviously, as we know, in terms of the people that have Olympic medals that are returning, Bruce Mouat, Jen Dodds have kind of ruled themselves out anyway. So, yeah, I think it's potentially about long service, and it's about people that day in, day out, I think, represent what Eve Muirhead's Team GB want to propel to the public.
So I asked the cross-country skier, Andrew Musgrave, will it be him?
Oh, our venue is miles away from the opening ceremony, so I don't think it's going to be me.
No, but the wonder of technology now that you don't have to be in the San Siro Stadium. You could be where you are. That's my understanding.
You're telling me all sorts of new stuff that I didn't know.
But what kind of honour would it be? I mean, even if you were considered.
Oh, it would definitely be an honour. Like, getting the Olympics is such a massive thing for at least for winter sport in Britain, where it's kind of, we're on centre stage once every 4 years, and even being considered for carrying the flag would be an honour. And being at the centre of that stage would be very cool.
So we'll find out this week before the opening ceremony who will be carrying the flags for Great Britain. We know, as Michael said earlier, they might not be in the San Siro. They could be in Cortina, where the curling and the snow sports are taking place. And you can also hear more from Andrew Musgrave on his 5th Olympics in the coming days. Stay with us on Anything But Footy and our Milano Daily.
Hi, I'm Marcus Wyatt, skeleton athlete with Team GB. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Olympics.
92 countries set to compete at these Olympic Games in Milano Cortina, with National Olympic Committees moving into the athletes' villages over the weekend. The big question that everyone always asks, are the venues ready? Are the games good to go? We're at that time of the Olympic cycle, just a few days before that opening ceremony. The sport's not actually even started yet. Everyone is arriving in Milan. We're there later on in the week, and people want to talk about the games. So, are they ready? That is the big question. I said I've been speaking to Bruce Mouat and Jen Dodds. They're ready. They've been to the venue. They know what the Team GB setup is in Cortina. They are happy as far as the curling is concerned. The BBC have reported that the Winter Olympics organisers face a race against time, love a cliche, to finish a new ice hockey arena in Milan. It's the 11,800 capacity Milano Santa Giulia ice hockey arena that we've talked about before. BBC Sport visited the arena on Saturday, and they said that they found a frantic construction site with building materials and dust inside and outside the stadium.
Outrageous.
Most roads remain closed around the arena whilst construction materials and rubbish litter the floor. Now, The Guardian, been reading that this weekend, they've reported that the cable car in Cortina, intending to carry spectators to the women's alpine skiing events to see Michaela Schifrin and maybe Lindsey Vonn, is in serious doubt of not being ready. They've got no Boris Johnson to give it a go either, have they? So,
no, they don't.
So the Guardian and the BBC are saying, no, it's not ready.
Well, the first media conference of the Games took place yesterday on Sunday afternoon as we record. We heard from Kirsty Coventry, the president, of course, her first Olympic Games as president, and Christophe Duby, the executive director as well. And as you'd expect, Michael, I'm going to not tell you anything that you not have heard before. Firstly, Kirsty Coventry saying she's been warmly welcomed by the Milan organisers and the city. And the athletes are arriving. Things are running well. Everything's looking positive. They're really excited to see what's going on and also watch the torch relay that's going extremely well. And on is the Games on time and on schedule? Here's the quote from Kirsty Coventry. Preparation for the Games is going extremely well. We're exactly where we need to be.
There you go.
Now, Christophe
from the boss. From the boss.
Christophe Duby did give a little more on the specifics, particularly the San Giuliano arena that you mentioned as well, where, look, there's dust, there's stuff that hasn't happened. The roads are closed. I mean, this is what will happen as you're preparing for the Games. But he said, look, will it be totally finished everywhere in the arena where you look? Potentially no. But he says, will it impact on athletes? Will it impact on spectators? Will it impact on the media? No, it won't either. And he said the work that they have done in the last, because they were behind and they were really late, is mightily impressive. So, look, they say they're ready to go. As we know, we've talked about the Rio Velodrome a lot, the Paris Velodrome when they were putting branding down on the second day because they suddenly realised they didn't put it in their first day on the finish line. These things happen with the Games. Is it going to be spotless? It will be by the time they actually open that gate. And I'm sure, if not, maybe the BBC can help with some dusting. They've probably got enough staff out there to help them.
Absolutely right. Also, talking about gender parity at these Games as well in the build-up in this media conference, Kirsty Coventry said, very proud of 40% female athletes at the Games, but Paris was nearer 50-50. So there is an ambition there. She said, as the first female president of the IOC, that she's very excited about her first Games in the role, seeing remarkable athletes living out their Olympic dreams.
Slightly more troubling for the IOC, probably the revelations over the weekend of the latest release of the Epstein files in America. IOC President Kirsty Coventry saying that she had not been in contact with the LA 2028 chair, Casey Wasserman, who says, who's issued a statement, which I'll come to in a moment. But she says, I haven't spoken to him. We're fully focusing on what's going on in Milano, Cortina at the moment. But of course, that question came up because he released a statement saying that he deeply regrets the emails with Ghislaine Maxwell, the jailed associate of the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which were revealed among millions of files published by the US Department of Justice on Friday. The IC also did mention that they would be keeping an eye out to see whether anything else comes to light from those releases. I think there were 3 million or so over the weekend, quite a lot of documents to go through to see whether anyone else is mentioned in those. But they say they haven't yet spoken to Casey Wasserman, and he has said he deeply regrets those emails. Now, tomorrow's news today and our latest news from the Games is coming up.
Hi, I'm Lila Fear.
And I'm Lewis Gibson, and you're listening to Anything But Footy,
with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
This is Anything But Footy and Milano Daily, the very first of the Winter Olympics. And the sport starts on Wednesday. Part of TNT, tomorrow's news today. We've got alpine skiing with the first official training taking place. We've got the official training runs in the Cortina Sliding Centre for the men's luge as well. But as Michael mentioned earlier, the mixed curling round robin gets underway in the Cortina Curling Olympic Stadium. And it's Great Britain against Norway for Bruce Mouat and Jen Dodds. And Michael has been speaking to them about their time in Beijing, where they missed out on a medal in the mixed team event, but both won medals in the men's and women's teams. Bruce the silver and Jen the gold.
It was a bit mixed. Obviously, the disappointment of fourth to begin with Bruce in the mixed doubles. But we kind of just had to park that really quickly. We didn't want that disappointment to affect our men's or women's event. And we both had a lot of success. So obviously Bruce getting silver and me getting gold. Getting gold was obviously a dream come true. Worked for that since I was 8 to 10 years old kind of thing. It was just a mix of emotions. It was whirlwind. Like, I remember at the time people were like, when is this going to sink in? And I was like, it's probably never going to sink in. And it's probably still not really sunk in now. It's still a bit weird thinking that you've achieved your dream, like your lifelong dream at 30 years old. So these past couple of years have been kind of trying to figure out what my new goals and sort of purpose is going to be. And looking forward to getting back to, Cortina this time.
Is it still very special when you know you're going to be at the Olympics again? It's something like 0.0001% of the world get to call themselves an Olympian. You're doing it again.
Well, yeah, it just proves that all the hard work is paying off for us. Jen and I got to go last time. It was a bit different, and with like the restrictions around. So having this time, our family and friends able to come and watch, that's going to be pretty exciting for both of us. And yeah, we're hoping to do better in the mixed doubles and recreate Jen's success at the mix or the women's. And for me, I want to go one step further in the men's.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you look back on it? I suppose you're that close to the gold medal. That's the ambition. But an Olympic silver medal is huge. But then your form since suggests that you're going to go there and be really there as a contender again.
Yeah, like coming off the back of the Olympics, it probably took us 6 months to really kind of bounce back from it. And I was like, the proudest achievement in my career is actually winning that World Championship the year after, because it felt like a disappointment coming away from the Olympics, not winning that gold medal. And then to bounce back and win a World Championship in Canada against Canada, it's, for our sport, it's pretty special for us.
And is it special? I usually ask this question the other way around when I'm speaking to Commonwealth Games athletes, but is it special because you compete in the world stage of Scotland and actually now you're Team GB?
Well, yeah, it's like the best of both worlds, I guess, because the Team GB vibe is very much like one team. So you're obviously getting to meet so many other athletes from so many other disciplines and sports. And yeah, it's really nice to start seeing people today. Again, we're at the Team GB Summit and seeing these athletes that we've maybe not seen for 3 years, but we've been able to follow on social media. And there's been so much success across Team GB that we're actually really excited to go out as that one team to Cortina. And it's always nice to represent Scotland, but when you go to Team GB and you're in that multi-sport environment, it's quite exciting.
How tough is it to go again? Because with Eve's team, you kind of felt that you were at the end of that story. You finished it with the fairy tale, and then you come back and you're having another tilt at it.
Yeah, it was an interesting 4 years, let's say, for that team. We hadn't even qualified a spot for Team GB yet. We didn't know if we were going to go to the Olympics. We didn't even know if we were going to be in the team for the Olympics because we were in a 9-women squad. It was very stressful, I would say. And obviously with the COVID restrictions as well, there was a lot of anxiety. We didn't even know, like, if you got COVID, would you be allowed to go? But I think that, again, as you said, that sort of fairy tale story, it's kind of all, we battled through all the adversity, like the 9-man squad, the disappointment not qualifying straight, having to go to the last chance qualifier. I think that built a really robust team for us. And I think, as you said, that kind of really trajected us for that fairy tale story. Like, for example, the semi-final against Sweden, we were 4 down after the first end, which no one wants to be in that situation in the slightest, but we fought back and won that game, like, under extreme pressure. And finishing off with the gold. Unfortunately, most of the team retired and I was left with... I stuck around. Thanks, Bruce. you can't get rid of me. But yeah, obviously they have exciting things going on in their lives now. So it was almost it was a nice fairy tale story, but I think this team is also as exciting. We're obviously on a different journey. I'm the only one returning or who've got Olympic experience. They're all first-time Olympians, which is so exciting for them. I can't wait for them to experience what it's like to play in the Olympic arena. We're all going to have a first of playing with a full house crowd, because obviously in Beijing there was the restrictions. So I think we can all sort of share that moment together, and that's really exciting, being in front of a full crowd and friends and family, which is a big thing for me, is my friends and family experiencing it with us.
Bruce Mouat and Jen Dodds ahead of their opening match at the Cortina Curling Centre. They are in action along with Sweden, Korea, Canada, Czechia and Estonia versus Switzerland. It is Great Britain versus Norway, 6 o'clock this Wednesday, UK time. The Olympics starts before the opening ceremony. Please just be aware of this.
And they have a double header on the Thursday and then obviously 2 matches on the Friday as well before the opening ceremony. So before that opening ceremony starts, they will already have played 5 times in that round robin. So, as I said, I've had a quick chat with them both this morning on a Zoom to the Team GB base in Cortina. They both seem pretty relaxed, good to go. We know that they've been at the Olympics before. As I said, they've got a very busy program. We're probably not going to get the opportunity to hear from them very much during the games. They missed out. They finished 4th in that mixed event in Beijing. They'll be looking to go better than that. Silver medalists at the last World Championships as well. So they are definitely real medal contenders as far as Team GB are concerned. They have a busy start to the event, but they are very experienced athletes now. They will know exactly what is required of them, and they will go into competition, as you say, 6 o'clock Wednesday evening UK time against Norway, very much amongst the favourites.
Absolutely. Good luck to them. And we'll continue, of course, looking ahead to all of our Team GB athletes who are in action over the coming days.
I'm Ellia Smading, Team GB long track speed skater. You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from Anything But Footy.
Now, the 30th of January marked the start of the Olympic truce period for Milano Cortina 2026. That is when the UN General Assembly President calls for peace during the Games. Let's hope the world is watching and listening.
Yes, indeed. Lindsey Vonn, back from retirement after 6 years and a whole knee replacement as well, is facing a race against time. There's that quote again. To make her 5th Winter Olympics. She started, of course, at Salt Lake in 2002, which is incredible if she can make this. But unfortunately, the Olympic champion crashed in poor conditions during the women's downhill in Switzerland last week. On Insta, she says it's a very difficult outcome, but she's having further tests and assessments after being airlifted from the piste. We'll keep our fingers crossed for Lindsey Vonn.
Let's just touch on a couple of other bits of news away from these games. The first of 5 days of action at the European Track Cycling Championships in Turkey saw British cycling win a couple of silver medals. The women's and the men's team sprints both finished second. The Germans came out on top against Sophie Capewell, Rihanna Paris-Smith and Laurie Thomas in the women's team sprint. And it was the French who beat the British men, Matthew Richardson, Joe Truman and Hamish Turnbull.
And Carlos Alcaraz is the youngest ever winner of all 4 men's majors after winning his first Australian Open in Melbourne. He overcame Novak Djokovic in the final in 4 sets, denying the Serb the chance to become the GOAT, the greatest of all time, although clearly he already is. Let's be honest, he already is the greatest, but that would have really cemented him. The 22-year-old Spaniard now has the Aussie, French, Wimbledon and US Open titles in his collection, and no doubt more to come in the years and months to come.
You can always check out Anything But Footy across all of our social media feeds. Find us online as well. We've got our fixture list for 2026 up at anythingbutfooty.com. I mentioned I've spoken to Bruce and Jen. Bruce is a little bit gutted that he's going to miss out on seeing Mariah Carey at the opening ceremony, but says Jen does a mean rendition, so he will settle for that. If you want to hear the real thing, you can find our Spotify Olympics music playlist on Spotify. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
Hi, it's Niall Tracy here, Team GB short track speed skater. You are listening to the Olympics with Anything But Footy.